Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to another elevator part video. Today we're going to be taking a look at US Square. So this is a US Square fixture that Justin gave to me, so a huge thank you to Justin for this fixture. If we take a pretty close look at it, we can see this thing is in pretty bad shape. There's paint all over the key switch, the button is pretty damaged, there's a lot of paint splatter all over it, dirt all over the plate. You can see on the back, it's all rusted. This thing is pretty filthy. So in addition to showing you how these buttons work, we're going to restore this fixture and wire it up. So turning it to the back, we can see how these work. Here's the button itself. If we look closely, there's a small micro switch down there. That is what activates when you press in the button. There's only one micro switch. You can see there's a spot for another one on the other side. We've got the lamp socket here in the middle, down here on the key switch. So we've got the actual key part here, and we have the switch part here. When we place the key in and turn it, you can see what it does is it just presses onto that switch and it moves it. And this actually feels pretty rough, to be honest. It feels really weird to use this key switch. So the first thing we're gonna do is take all the stuff off and have a closer look at how all of these pieces work. All right, to remove the button, we need to unscrew these two screws that are holding the button in place. So you can see when I start to unscrew this that these are just little metal pieces that are off to the side here. They're pretty terrible. I mean, you can see why US Elevator is really cheap. So once these two nastily rusted screws have been removed, we can remove the little metal pieces which hold down the button. And then if you just lift up here, the entire button comes out. And here we have the button. Now let's work on the key switch. Now the key switch is gonna be a little bit different. All right, so there's this little metal ring here, and we simply need to grab it with a wrench and give it a turn. And once you do that, you can hear all the rust coming off, but it will come loose. So once the metal ring comes off, you will have to kind of work it out. There's the ring, and then you can pull out the key, and then this part comes out, and then the entire key switch comes out just like that. And now we've got the plate taken out. All right, now that we've taken the entire button apart, let's take a look at each of the pieces individually. First up, we have the actual plate. And the plate itself is pretty dirty, but we are going to be restoring this plate. So we have the two square parts here where either the key switch or the button goes. Doesn't really matter, it's pretty symmetrical on either side. And we've got the two holes to attach it to the box. And now we have the actual key switch. So we've got four parts to it. So we've got the little ring here, which in this case, it has the up and down because it's the inspection. Here's the back. Here we have the actual key itself. And this is a Yale key. So you can see if I put my key in and give it a turn, you can turn it all the way around. Here's the front of the key, and here's the back, and you can see where it's being held on with these little screws, this piece here. And finally, we have the actual switch part itself. And it's just a simple little switch. You can see this thing's pretty dirty, pretty crusty, and it's really hard to turn, actually, believe it or not. But this is what would control the elevator when this was in inspection mode. And this piece of metal is pretty rusty and pretty disgusting. Next, we have the button itself. So like I said before, this is the piece that holds it onto the plate. Very interesting, it's just a piece of metal. There's a really rusty screw on top. Here we have the button itself. Here on the front, you can see it says call. So it's got the little slant like these square buttons do. And it has the older font that says call on it, so that's pretty cool. On the back here, like I said earlier, we've got a micro switch here, and that's what actually does the work. You can see here the purple and red wires is what would go to the controller. All right, so normally if you wanted to take this lamp socket out, you would pull this little pin and pull out. But this button is so disgusting, the socket's stuck inside there. So the next thing we're gonna do is take out the actual button. And the way you can do that, you'll notice the white pins here not only press up against the micro switch, but they also hold the button in place. If you press both of them in at the same time, you can pull out the actual button. And there's the button itself. There's the lamp down in there, which we're gonna remove that. And to my surprise, it's not actually burned out, so I'll hold on to this. But this is a 120 MB bulb. We'll be changing that out to a different bulb, but it's nice to know that it's not burned. So there's the lamp socket down there, and just giving it a push. I don't know if this thing's even gonna come out if I wanted it to, but you can see down there are two small springs which give the button springiness. All right, so now that we've completely disassembled the button, we've taken a look at how it works, we're gonna now start working on restoring this fixture, because this thing is disgusting. I mean, pretty much every piece in this button is nasty. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna start off by restoring the plate, cleaning it up, getting the paint off, shining it up, making it look really nice. Then we're going to clean up all the plastic parts, try to get all the paint off. Maybe, not really sure what I'm gonna do about this. Might replace this switch. I'm not 100% sure. It's pretty nasty. But pretty much the end goal is to make this thing look as new as possible. And then we'll start working on wiring. Alright, so the plate is complete. You can see a huge improvement in this thing. Now there is some damage that's just part of the fixture here. You can see where the button was. There's a lot of scratches and stuff. For the most part, this looks a whole lot better and will look a lot better once we clean all the other parts of this fixture. Alright, next thing I'm going to work on is the call button itself. And you can see just by looking in the light, the plastic itself is pretty worn off. I'm gonna try to clean that up a bit the best I can, get all the crustiness off the side, and just clean this plastic piece up a bit. All right, next thing we have to deal with is the actual button casing itself. It's pretty dirty, so I'm gonna try to get all this paint splatter off the side and on the inside here just to make it look a lot nicer. All right, so the button casing and the button are cleaned up. So next thing we're going to do, add a little 9-volt bulb into this button, just like that, and we're gonna slide the button back into place. Now the button is cleaned up, we've removed the paint as best we can, and got the dirt off, so it looks a whole lot better. Next we need to work on the key switch. So the 3 parts of the key switch I'm gonna work on are these. So we're gonna try to clean up this plastic ring a little bit, get some of the paint off. You can see here this key itself has paint splattered all over it, so we're going to remove that as well. And for this, well, we're gonna just see what we can do with this thing, basically. All right, so I finished doing the work on the actual key switch. You can see here, we've got a nice new switch on here. Basically the exact same thing as the old one. I tried to take the rust off as best I could. Obviously it's not all gonna come off, but this looks a lot better than it did. The key here, it's not splattered with paint anymore, definitely looks a lot nicer. I also cleaned it enough where it turns a whole lot nicer so it's not all sticky and getting stuck all the time. And then I cleaned up the little plastic ring and it looks a whole lot nicer. So now we need to put it all back together. So the plastic ring here just simply slides on like this. All right, so now we got the plastic ring on. We're going to choose our spot on the button. So looks like we're gonna use this one. So this slides in like this and lays on top. Next, we're gonna slide the switch over like this. Get the ring over the metal piece here. It'll slide down there into place. So before you tighten this down completely, make sure you center your switch up. So you want to tighten that down very tight using a wrench. And now let's give the key a test. Now that we've cleaned it up, let's see how much better it works. That is a whole lot better. Yes, definitely this works a whole lot better now that we've done our work to it. So now we've got the key switch installed, now let's install the button. So stick all the wires through. We're gonna attach our metal pieces. Tighten down your screw, don't tighten it down too tight because you don't wanna break the button. All right, there we go. Now the button's in place and it works great. All right, so the restoration of the button is finished. You can see it looks a whole lot better now than when we started. This thing definitely looks a whole lot cooler. So next thing we need to do is wire it up. So as you saw before, I went ahead and put in a bulb all ready to be wired. So all we gotta do is flip it over and get started. Now wiring US elevator buttons can be either pretty easy or it can be kind of tedious. Just depends on what you have. Now in my case, we have 4 wires that come out here. We have this purple wire, which is kind of long, got this short red wire, and we've got a white and black wire here. So you can see here we have the red wire and the purple wire. And these are already connected on here, so that makes my life a whole lot easier. But if you don't have any wires on your micro switch, you'll want to connect a wire to the 2 outer pins like this. You can see there's 4 pins here. We've got the purple wire on the far left and the red wire on the far right. That's because these 2 pins form a normally open contact, where these 2 in the middle form a normally closed contact. As for our lamp socket here, we have a white wire and a black wire. Now when it comes to an incandescent bulb, doesn't really matter the polarity, but if you were to use an LED, you'd want to note that this is your positive wire and this is your negative wire. So in my case, I'm going to connect this red wire right here to my positive connector of my battery pack. And I'm going to be using a 9-volt battery. I'll be connecting the red wire of the battery to this red wire here. That's going to flow through the switch, where I'm then going to connect this purple wire to the white wire of the lamp socket. And then that means I'm just going to connect the black wire of the lamp socket to the negative end of the battery. All right, so I finished the wiring. Let's see how it looks. Oh wow, look at that. That looks really nice. I'd say that would be a success right there. Now I didn't wire up the key switch to do anything. I didn't think that was quite necessary. Just did the simple wiring, put the wires, just, contain the wires a bit. Key switch works fine, just doesn't actually do anything. Anyway, that is going to conclude this project. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this really crusty and pretty disgusting fixture turn into something a lot nicer that lights up and it looks pretty cool. So again, thank you to Justin for the button. I really appreciate it. This thing's really awesome. It turned out a lot better than I had expected. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you guys in the next one.